What is up, my veggies? My name is VTR, and welcome back to another episode review. And today we are going to be finally reviewing an episode of What If. But specifically, we are doing What If Zombies, which is the zombie episode they did, which was basically a backdoor pilot for the actual Marvel Zombie show, which just recently came out. And I was going to review that and then just pile this on top of that was originally my plan, but then I was like, no, let's review this episode on its own because the tone is a little bit different from the actual show, and I thought it makes sense just to review this episode on its own and then review Marvel Zombies on its own, even though they are all one thing. So Marvel Zombies, going into this episode, it was one of my more excited episodes of What If, and maybe one day I'll talk about What If as a whole, and maybe talk about some other What If episodes, but I want to talk about this episode. First, I'm going to go all over the place. So if you haven't seen the episode, I wouldn't recommend watching this video. But this being set at the time of right before Infinity War, I think is a really good time to set this story. I think it's really cool to set it in one of the most one of the biggest times in the MCU, that being the Infinity War, because it starts off with um Banner getting sent down like he did in the movie, but it's different because the zombie outbreak has happened, and we learn about how the zombie outbreak started and who's alive and who's not. And I'm not gonna lie, the characters they choose to focus on here, I think, is actually a good way to go. With with Banner, Spider-Man, Happy Hogan, I forget, Bucky. I forget her name. I always forget her name, but um, the main guard lady from Wakanda. I forget her name, everything, but and then also when Vision eventually comes into play, and Hope, which is the Wasp, and there's a few other not as big characters in the MCU. I think Sharon Carter is one of the characters, and then there's another one which was one of the friends or something from Ant-Man, I think. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting set of characters they decide to go with, and I like that it's not just it's all the characters dealing with this. Now the tone is kind of all over the place, where there are some suspense horrors in. There's a lot of that MCU humor that's in here, where it's it doesn't give you that. And surprisingly, for what this show was rated, they're able to get away with a lot more than I thought they would. Obviously, in Marvels, they amp it up a lot more, but I do think, obviously, with there being such a short amount of time, you're not going to be able to flesh this out. But there are some good character moments in here. Example, there's a fight between Zombie Cap and Bucky, and it is so good. There is a scene between the most of the cast and Hope, especially her interaction with Spider-Man. There is one of the better scenes, and the end of the episode where it leaves off on a cliffhanger leading into which you don't get resolved until later, is that was the thing with a lot of what if episodes. It would leave you wanting more, at least some of them. Specifically, this episode was like that. It left you wanting more from these characters, and you basically got that with Marvel Zombies. But we're going to talk about Marvel Zombies in another video. um and there are some good there are some all right funny moments. They're not as much funny moments in the episodes, but but what they were able to get away with and everything with this being a zombie show was interesting, or not, a zombie episode. And I had fun with it, seeing the zombie versions of the Marvel characters. Like you see Hawkeye, you see Cap, you see you see Thanos at one point. Not much of Thanos, but you see Iron Man as well. You see Doctor Strange. Like, it's really interesting. Uh, I have clips playing from the episode on my monitor right now. I should probably do that for reviews more often. It'll help me with my thoughts. The animation, it's how all the animation is for What If. A lot of people are iffy on the What If animation style. I don't mind it. I never did really, and I think what they're able to do with with this not being a TVMA rated episode, they did good with what they were limited in what they were allowed to do. Um, and seeing some of the stuff that happens in this is very interesting. And also, this was getting to see uh, Black Panther again, which is always good. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's voiced by Chadwick Boseman in this episode. He doesn't do that much, but then like obviously you get the Scarlet Witch part of the with Wanda and everything, and that is really cool how they handle that, and the reveal of it is done really well. Like, and like you learning what Vision's been doing when you come across and then you see the reveal of um of Black Panther and everything. It's really interesting, and it's one of the driving forces behind it's one of the driving forces behind like the storyline with What If. I mean, with Marvel Zombies going forward. Like I said, I can't talk about Marvel Zombies in this video. Um, but overall, this episode is a fun time, especially if you are a zombie fan with like stuff like The Walking Dead. And I'm gonna bring that comparison up again when we get to Marvel Zombies, but obviously I'm not gonna wait on that, obviously. But this episode is fun, and I think it does a lot of things right that you want this episode to do. I think its just main problem is its tone and everything, and especially as soon as Ant-Man comes into the frame, there's a lot of jokes, a lot more jokes being thrown around, especially from him. Some of them hit, some of them don't, and I feel like it's a little more jokey than your average Marvel project. But I think they do that to kind of like balance out the horror, I think, because like it is supposed to be like a horror type thing, which I think is cool, and I think they wanted to I don't know if they felt scared to lean more into it, but also they were probably limited by the show's rating and everything. um but yeah, that's really all I've got to say for this review. Let me know what you guys think down in the oh, at the there's one line I think is like it's one of my favorite jokes. It's like when Spider-Man first grabs Bruce Bruce Banner, and he goes like, "Is this your family neighborhood Spider-Man here or whatever?" And he's like, "Well, then what the heck happened to the neighborhood?" Which I thought that was a funny line. It's probably my favorite line in the episode. And just the way how everything is like goes out, and kind of the action sequences are really good and everything. Um, and yeah, that's really all I've got to say for this review. I'm gonna give the episode a solid 3 out of 5. It's mostly the humor that holds it back, but it does have a lot of heart in the episode, and not to mention Vision like sacrifice where he comes around. Like it's interesting and everything. But that's all I gotta say for this review, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see each and every one of you guys in the next video. Bye.